In the news on Vanguard Live, I am Precious Chikudi. We begin with the front pages of the papers this morning. Starting off with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with inflation hits 24% as Nigerians struggle with higher food prices. The writer says the measures to tackle food inflation yet to be executed, and that's coming from analysts. Inflation surge devastating citizens' welfare, and that's coming from CPPE. And we can see an infograph showing the contributors to inflation rise: food and non-alcoholic beverages, housing, water, electricity, gas, and others, clothing and footwear, transport, health, education, furnishing and household equipment, restaurants and hotels, alcoholic beverages, tobacco and cola, recreational and culture, communication, etc. You can see that infograph on the front page of Vanguard. On page 8, we will maintain current petrol price without subsidy reversal, and that's coming from TINUBU. Says labor strike threats premature. No plan for fresh petrol price hike, says NNPC. Kenya reinstate fuel subsidy for 30 days to curb soaring prices. And we have on page 13, Isheshe Festival. Islamic Council asks worshippers to keep off Ilori. Stories above, harsh economy. Buhari spends 96% of national income on debt, and that's coming from OSHIOMHOLE. NAF's helicopter crash, villagers flee communities in Niger State. West Africa military chiefs to discuss Niger crisis this week. On page 8, federal government files fresh 20-count charge against Emefiele in Abuja. And lastly, on the front page of Vanguard newspaper, we have a pension fund investment in equity grows by 36% to 1.4 trillion naira. Can read more on page 19. All right, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with federal government in deregulation dilemma as 24% inflation worsens poverty. And on page 8, pedestrian flee as miscreants take over foot bridges in Lagos. Fresh concern over cost relevance of NYC scheme in lean times. On page 5, federal government applies to withdraw firearm charge against Emefiele. Stories above, Nigerians may wait longer for Tinubu's cabinet despite hasty screening. We will maintain petrol price without subsidy reversal, says Tinubu. And lastly, on the front page of The Guardian, we have manufacturing firms' profitability down by 351% in quarter one amidst soaring OPEX. And let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. The Nation is leading with Tinubu petrol price won't go up, subsidy removal stays. Writer says we will end inefficiency. President labor strike threats premature. And we have on page 4, we shut down NAFJET, group claims responsibility, President mourns crash victims, stories above, survival wage soon for Nigerians, Speaker assures, Tinubu inherited terrible economic crisis, says OSHIOMHOLE, federal government files fresh charges against Emefiele in Abuja, high food prices fair push inflation to 24%. All right, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with 6.9 billion naira procurement fraud. Federal government rearranges Emefiele allies Thursday. Rider says CBN procurement director 6 others to testify against ex-Apex Bank governor. Suspended CBN governor allegedly bought 100 vehicles through employees. One dies, others missing as oil rig collapse in Delta. Abia woman arrested for stealing a friend's 1-month-old baby. You can see that on pages 4 and 5. And the stories above, we have Niger, ECOWAS tighten sanction, Hunter demands power supply. You can see that on page 2. EFCC goes after dollar speculators. CBN slashes banks allocation. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, federal government may sell stakes in NNPC 19 entities. And that's all we can take on the front pages of the papers. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining still today in the news on Vanguard Live, I am Precious Chikudi. Joining me to talk about some of the stories on the front pages of the papers this morning is Mr. Gbero Olajigbe, Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure with you.
All right, let's delve in, and we're talking inflation. And Nigeria's annual inflation rate rose to 24% in July, the highest in 18 years, driven by higher prices of food items, increased transport fare, reflecting the increasing struggle of households worsened by the impact of fuel subsidy removal. How do you react?
Well, I think that percentage is even conservative, because if you visit market yourself, you know that it's just barely true reflection of the situation. It should be more than 24% in reality. Maybe the level of sample taking and the choice of what the parameters used tend to lower it. It could be more if diligently and thoroughly done. And it has not abated. It continues to rise on a daily basis. Because if you look at the way the dollar has been strengthened by the free fall of Naira, you will find out that no one should be surprised, because every item you purchase, even tuber of yam, has content of dollar in it, in the sense that you import your fuel, and those bringing yam, even from the remotest part of this country, we transport that. That means that there's dollar content in even the remotest item that is produced in this country. No thanks to transportation costs, and no thanks to, at least those people will need to profit from what they are bringing exorbitantly into the market and everything. So I'm even surprised that it's not higher than that. But this should send a clear message to this government that the policy that it embarked on is absolutely wrong, unacceptable, obnoxious, and can never grow this economy. As long as we look, let's come to it. Whether, no matter how they pretend, Nigeria is a monocultural economy that is powered by oil. Nothing else. Whatever they are telling you is bad at trash. They are telling you that other commodities they are earning from other commodities is because, one, we are not, even the oil itself, the crude oil, we are not meeting our quota, and secondly, the absurdity and the gravity of stealing of this oil has contributed to what we earn from oil. Go and look at oil producing country. Their inflation, none of them, the highest is having, I think, 11%. Look at Saudi Arabia, look at Austria, keeping single-digit inflation rate for a long time, and their currency very, very stabilized, very, very strengthened, because they are benefiting extremely from the boom oil market. No thanks to Russia-Ukrainian war. So we are not even supposed to be talking of inflation in Nigeria today, because in the last 2 years, if we are a serious country, we focus policy without subjecting ourselves to this torture of importing what we should be producing. We should be keeping, by now we should have been keeping one-digit inflationary rate. If we have, it should be between 8 to 9 at maximum. But look at us today. We learned nothing from history. We continue to put incompetent leadership in place who does not, that will never defer to the trends of an economy. And we don't put pressure on these people. We accept everything without interrogating them, even no matter how obnoxious such policy is, that how detrimental they could be to our interest, to our future, to long-time economic development of this nation. We don't bother. We allow politicians to tell us what is absolutely incorrect and unreasonable in economy, because I don't know. Look at it. You stop importation of you fail to stop importation of fuel by growing your own refinery, and you just say you remove subsidy. So who is paying? I think the chicken has come up to roost, to the level of that my argument that government did not remove subsidy or eradicate subsidy. What happened is that government shifted the burden of payment to the people, and that is what is reflecting in the inflationary rate you are seeing today. And that is what is exacerbating the level of poverty that is in this country today. So there is no economy is no magic. The parameters are wrong, and of course, the way you lay your bed is the way you are going to sleep on it.
All right.
We deliberately throw ourselves into this economic quagmire.
All right, let's talk about the devastating effects on citizens' welfare and the health of small businesses in Nigeria. What's your take?
Well, this is economy that, as I'm talking to you now, there's no light or electricity in where I'm talking to you from Lagos now. No electricity in that part of it. That means that every barber in this neighborhood now will not work. Because, and secondly, whenever there was no electricity, power, what we used to fall back on was this petrol energy. But can they afford it now? They cannot. If they can even afford it, will their customer afford the cost? They cannot. Invariably, they are out of job. Their shops are closed. So also the weather shop. So also the medium scale industries that you have, they are closing up, thereby increasing the rate of unemployment in the country. Because you have a market that is full of unemployed people before. Now, many are joining that unemployment market. Not because they don't want to work, not because they have not made effort to have a medium small scale businesses in place, but then the environment is no longer conducive for them. They can't even meet the cost of production, which have been increased by the energy tariff, fuel tariff that you are paying now. And this is going to create, because we should look at this thing. Economic crisis does not end there. It leads to social anarchy, social crisis. That is, it's going to increase the level of anger, the level of friction, the level of frustration, the level of aggression, and consequently the level of violence. So all these things, all these permutations combine, all these parameters and ingredients combine in diverse common permutation to create environment for social crisis. So it's not purely economic problem alone. It's the spiral effect, how they connect together. It's not simplistic as we do analysis most of the time, or how people do analysis that you will see the future you will. People must get it clearly. They are making sacrifice for nothing. Nothing. As long as you don't produce, you are making sacrifice. The future is bleak. We should stop lying to ourselves. There's no future anywhere with this type of economic policies. Do you know how many people that cannot even attend hospital now? They can't afford it. They can't even go to patent medicine store to buy medicine to cure to treat their malaria. So how do you want people to survive? Those who have been helpful to others before, maybe they have their employment, they are employed somehow, but they can't show that mercy today. And when you can't give to your neighbor and everything, you are compounding the condition for anomaly in your neighborhood and in the country at large. So many people are not even longer charitable again because they have not even kept the necessity for their own family. So to reach out is difficult for average Nigerian to others.
All right.
So we should consider all this as the social cost of our indiscretion, economic indiscretion, and bad policies that people have been clapping for. And look at those who clapped for Buhari yesterday. They are telling us today now that TINUBU meant this thing. I told you that Buhari was working towards a very tragic economic consequences.
All right.
But today now, those who are pressing him that Buhari is building wealth for the nation, they are the ones now saying that it's because TINUBU meant a very rotten economy.
All right.
From who? From me.
All right, Mr. Guerrero. Let's delve in. Let's talk about this now. Let's talk about, of course, the president saying that the federal government would take measures to maintain the current petrol price in the country without reversal of its policy on subsidy removal. You know, people, there are arguments out there that federal government did not even in fact remove fuel subsidy, because if the oil marketers are saying that the landing cost is very expensive for them, and we're buying fuel at the rate we're buying, it means that there was no removal in the first place. What's your take?
Government has become magician now. If you don't have control over what the price of what you import, because yesterday the independent marketer said that they can't sell less beyond 740 because they are in the business. They can't sell below the cost price of bringing fuel into the country. And you are now saying that they will fuel. Look, the only alternative, the only way that will work is that there will be fuel that the government will surreptitiously subsidize without telling the people, because they don't want people to know that the subsidy, the so-called subsidy remove has failed. So they might surreptitiously subsidize the small percentage that NNPC, they call public enterprise now, that is still private, that is being determined by government and everything, that is never privatized in deeds, in true essence of it. So what will happen is that there will be few available fuel, and people will now begin to queue at that price. So there's no way they can do that. It is a lie that this thing will not go up. Dollar was 950 naira yesterday, dollar. And this government met it over 600 naira. Factory over 600 naira. They have taken it to 950. Within how many months? We are not in the third month of this administration. Yesterday I wanted some yam. They were 3,500 naira, one tuber of yam. The price for 10 yam before. 3,500 naira yam. So we are in for, it's a long journey. So people should prepare for the journey they are having. It's not a dash. It's not 100 meters dash. So it's a long distance race. This economic trauma. So people should get themselves prepared for it. I don't see this government resolving such issue now without stopping importation of fuel. I'm emphasizing because over 70% of dollars that we expend go to this importation. And this is a government that encouraged Buhari to begin to take loan. They justify it. You have what you are borrowing, and what you are paying back, your GDP can carry it and everything. But we are forcing today that all those arguments are fall flat on the face. All right, they were deceiving Nigerians. They did that for 8 years, and they want to continue now. We should never allow that. We own this country together, and we should solve this problem together. They must listen to alternative ways of solving problems. They don't have monopoly of knowledge. And we have been saying it. You can't. Where are we getting to? The same strategy for 63 years that has never helped us. You embark on it and you continue on it, and you deceptively call it renew hope. Which hope? This is a renew error.
All right, Mr. Benro. Kenya government that removed fuel subsidy at the time that Nigeria did, or reintroduced the fuel subsidy to curb the price of petrol, although they said it's for 30 days. You were talking about alternative ways. What alternative ways do you think that the federal government can, implement to curb the hardship on the people?
One, what I had expected this government to do was to set a target for making refinery work and continue to fund, or what I call mitigative measure, continue to fund the so-called subsidy. Maybe 3 months for 6 months or 3 months, and within that time, you have at least refineries that can meet local consumption. If you're able to solve that, well, you will be able to take away the problem that people are getting, that is affecting people now. You will be able to, at least, if you couldn't take away the problem, you ameliorate it. Secondly, if that could not be totally done, that if government did not want to bear it, he will have said that, okay, if you want to remove subsidy, you will be paying 600 naira. But I'm talking when the price was still 200 naira. But now we want refinery to work within 3 months. And because of that, let us share this burden. Government take 200 naira, pay 200 naira, and citizen pay maybe 200 naira extra. Then be paying 400 naira for now. And when the refinery fully works, you can totally remove off your wash off your hand from that. But you didn't put anything in place, and you are talking of palliative. Palliative, I'm telling you, is not a statutory recommendation for economic alleviation of poverty. Palliative is for people in distress. Except you have agreed that Nigeria is one huge internally displaced persons camp. Then palliative will make sense. If we are there, we should seek help, like we do we respond to emergencies and needs in IDP camps. And secondly, what the government could also have done again is for us to ask questions. Do you know that we have all forgotten that now because we don't keep record? 3 years ago, NNPC borrowed 1.5 billion naira. 1.5 billion, I'm saying naira, $1.5 billion for turnaround maintenance. When they were borrowing this money, I wrote an article and I said that this money NNPC wants to use or wanted to use then for turnaround maintenance was a 3 states budget for 3 states. Now, where is the end report of the turnaround and the money borrowed? Nobody is asking question about that. And the same NNPC managing director is still there, dictating price. And you think things will change? Have they addressed that? We can't see the effort in turnaround, and people are still working in NNPC, being funded for being paid for doing nothing. Have TINUBU answered that question or taken decision to end such malice or such absurdity? And yesterday we heard again that an institution in Nigeria, CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, the money they just share and they borrow themselves. Let me use that language. 40 billion naira in an economy like this. Workers getting salary. And you gave a loan, internal loan of 40 billion to those camps. Is that a country that is being governed well? Is that a country that have a serious economic governance structure? Who does that? Have you had it anywhere that in UK the staff gather together to borrow themselves money? Have you heard that? I was telling a story. We are now, you want to grow economy. You are talking of inflation. You are talking of fuel. You are having 48 ministers. Who does that? In United States of America, America has 15 secretaries. 15 secretaries, equivalent of our ministers. America is richer than Nigeria more than 50 times. I'm talking, that is conservative estimation. You are coming into government with 48 ministers in a distressing economy. And not even distressing, a distressed economy.
All right, Mr. Gbero.
An economy that is buoyant, that is developed, is having 15 ministers. So what do you see? I'm talking of the almighty United States.
All right.
The cabinet in the United States is made up of the president, the vice president, and 15 secretaries. Smart governance. I'm telling you because these are options available to him.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Gbero, contrary
that
to what
he has not taken.
Yeah, contrary to what you're saying now, OSHIOMHOLE actually came out to now say that, the president inherited an economy in which the nation revenue is barely, enough to service its debt burden, spending 96% of its income. How do you respond?
Yes, he inherited it from my father who governed the country now, or from my father's farm. Who inherited it from who? OSHIOMHOLE, I think these people should just stop talking. Was he not the chairman of APC, clapping for Buhari when he was borrowing, moving about, canvassing for borrowing, nothing bad, nothing is bad in borrowing and everything. All of them singing songs that are purely selfish, purely detrimental to the development of this country because of political interest. And they will still say the same thing when TINUBU leaves. That whoever come up meet a rotten economy. This character encouraged Buhari to engage on this journey of perfidy, borrowing right central without work, without doing anything, without adding value to Nigerian development system. Now, they are saying that TINUBU inherited this thing. But TINUBU promised, because he has seen the good work of Buhari, that he will continue to build on what Buhari did now. So why are they denying themselves now? Are these serious people? Didn't they hurt people clearly? Do you know how many times, even on this your platform and other platforms, that we cry that this borrowing is ending in tragedy? Now they are now saying that TINUBU made a rotten this thing and everything. These are the people that encourage Buhari to bring Nigeria to this ladder of poverty. And they have continued their deception. And people should not listen to them. Nobody is more Nigerian than any other person. We must rescue this country, save this country, contribute to its economic development by pushing forward right or alternative policy that can help Nigeria. Not people for political reason deceiving the country and deceiving themselves. One of them, Madibo, I was on him on this thing under Buhari, on channels and this thing for almost 3 times, clapping for Buhari and everything. The same person was saying what OSHIOMHOLE said about 2 weeks ago. I was shocked. I called him. In fact, I sent one of our videos to him. Look at what we discussed, and you are clapping for Buhari. Buhari left now. You are saying that this government made a rotten economy. This is somebody that was appointed by government that time, clap for him on television platform and everything. One thing you don't need to defend in life is truth. Whether people put forward what is true. No need for you to look, you can't look this side or this side to defend truth. Truth is self-evident and is capable of defending itself at any time. People might deny it. It will not deny itself. And people will come back to bow for what is true at any time. But lie is like an empty sack. It will never stand straight. It will fall, no matter how you put it.
All right, Mr. Green, let's just take Mr. and Mrs. Our time is fast spent. Mrs. is speaking this morning, says, I'm trying my best to make sure we are comfortable in this family, yet you're making things difficult for me. And Mr. replies and says, Maria, I can't afford 150,000 naira for artificial hair now. You are beautiful the way you are.
Well, what I would just say is that in this economy now, everywhere is hot too. Let us not deceive ourselves. True. Everywhere is just somehow. And as a family, the best way to help ourselves is to be reasonable with our demand. Be reasonable, look at a very cost-effective way. There are cost-effective way of looking beautiful. There are certain things that we were doing before that we shouldn't be doing now. Because we really don't know where these people are taking us. Let me give you a simple example. If you have 100, there was a time when you have 36,000 naira in bank, what you will be having is when you have 100,000 in bank, 360,000, you have it in a bank. That time you are having maybe close to $10,000. But now you need million. The exchange rate as the naira is devalued. I just told you what yam we are buying 10, 3,500, 3,500. I'm talking of yesterday. And that the implication of that is that you can't go to filling station now when you have a family to feed and say they should fill the tank. In fact, when I want to buy fuel now, I look at my eyes fix on the gauge, and you just tell all yourself that fill the tank for where? Just maybe half if you are generous with your motor. But if it's 10 liters, you can buy. You do that, and that is how the time is. And we should not stress ourselves, particularly at family level. There will be a better tomorrow for us, but we should join hands together to put pressure on government to do the right thing. People cannot be other people cannot be sending token for people to enjoy themselves. Token to the senator to enjoy themselves, and nobody is sending anything to you. There must not be token for any Nigerians of today. Rather, it's absurd that family are going through stress, family are going through depression, and you have a government functionaries that are living large. That is not how a country is. That is not leadership. Leadership is by example and not by precept, like we have in Nigeria. So Mrs. should just look at a better way. Low court is not a bad idea. And times some people are beautiful. Yes, low court is not a bad idea if that is what you can afford to save costs. More importantly, we should only remember that we have a responsibility, particularly toward our children, so that they can be better citizens than us, who are committed to running this economy and put everybody in a gulag of poverty.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Gbenrolaji Igbe, Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert. Thank you for sharing your thought with us this morning.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Also, remember that you can equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. To find out today's stories, go to our website, www.vanguardindia.com, to find out more. I am Precious Chukudi, and